Hello and welcome to the Discover Virginia Beach podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Trahan, your tour guide to the Virginia Beach area. If this is your first time listening, I am so glad you found this show. Each week, I publish a new interview with locals ranging from musicians, government officials, CEOs, artists, and much more. And my aim is simple. It's to help you discover, define, and then go out and do exactly what you're looking for during your next vacation, relocation, or outing to the Virginia Beach area. And if you're looking to join in on the conversation, take part in monthly giveaways, and get your hands on my custom event calendars, head on over to Facebook and send me a friend request. That's Joseph Trahan. And check out my Facebook group of nearly 50,000 fans of the Virginia Beach area. Don't worry about writing anything down. The links for each episode, along with the Facebook groups, will be in the description below and also in the show notes. All right, here's the show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode, and we are going to steer this conversation in a different direction today, as we've been focusing on a lot of businesses and corporations here on the show. But now we're going to tune it back down. We're going to check in with some locals here to the area, and who better than to talk local stuff than my personal friend of the family, Bev Russell. Bev, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Joe, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you. Super glad to have you bring us down to earth today to talk about some tangible things to do here in the Virginia Beach area, and then of course what it's like to raise a family here, and then of course to live and play in the area. So to jump right in, Bev, would you mind sharing with us what brought you to the Virginia Beach area, Norfolk area, and what got you to stick around and build your life and business here?
Yeah, so I am not from Virginia Beach. I'm actually from a little town in Pennsylvania called Middleburg, and I moved here in like the summer of 2019 after my husband and I got married, and he worked at the Oceana base, typical, military family, moved to where the work is. And at first we lived in Virginia Beach down on like 17th Street area. And then we eventually got a house in Norfolk in the Lafayette Park area. And I would say one of the biggest things that has kept me in the area, even though my husband's no longer in the military, is that the festival work. So I'm a tech person by trade, but more for sound and lights and like festival kind of like tech. And
like AVL, event planning, you kind of handle the technical side of it when it comes to the audio, the lights, the visuals, bringing the festival alive, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And there is so much opportunity down here in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. There's anything from like corporate get-togethers, conferences, to music festivals. I know that there's one that's down on the beach every year, a beach fest, and it blocks traffic every year. That's a great one. And I'm not sure if something in the water is still in the area anymore, but I know for a long time, like Pharrell came and did something in the water every year here.
Yeah,
in Virginia Beach.
It is slated for the 2024 calendar year, along with some other festivals as well. And then quick shout out to our Facebook group, Discover Virginia Beach. If you're looking for that list of events and where to go and what to do, definitely just go and join us there, as we have all that posted throughout the summer months.
2019 going into 2020 was a little bit rough for the festival community.
Oh, yeah. With COVID and shutdowns and social distancing, I can imagine it was probably frustrating for somebody in your sector to just be told, no, we're not doing that. And we don't really know when we'll be able to start again. What was that process like for you? Like coming to a new area and then your passions and your work is just kind of like halted. It just stopped.
Well, it was pretty rough. Thankfully, we had a pretty good community with our church that kind of carried us through it. But man, like whenever you don't have a lot of prospects of your entire job career field coming back for, just substantial amount of time, that's when you really got to lean into your community and stick with, the people that that care about you, that invest in you, and also, getting to know your neighbors. As hard as that can be sometimes, getting to know, your area and, exploring your area. I know during that time, I found so many like little back of the wall corner niche spots that I still like to go to and hang out today with my family, especially with young kids. Like, there's actually a lot of fun hidden treasures in Virginia Beach and Norfolk.
Oh, we'd love to hear it. Do you have a recommendation for one or two spots? Not giving away your favorites, of course, but maybe for those moms and dads out there with maybe young kids, because I know your kids are younger too, under 4, that age group.
So one of my favorite places to take the kids is either First Landing State Park. They have lots of hiking trails. That's actually not too bad if you have a jogging stroller. Like, you can get around those trails, and especially on that walkway that goes through the park, you can hit so many different, I almost want to call them biomes. There's, a section where, it's swampy woods covered in like that draping moss. And then there's like plain like beach. You're like fording little tiny ripples, seeing little fiddler crabs. And then there's just straight up like pine woods that you're walking through, all on the same trail. So it's super accessible, super fun. The kids get to see a bunch. And plus there's a little, beach area, a little sandy beach area where you don't have to worry about riptides. First Landing Park is great for little kids. Just make sure to bring your insect repellent.
Yes, bring your insect repellent. And Bev, I really appreciate you mentioning that, because there are so many different biomes, and depending on where you visit throughout the year, you can really get a different experience. The park actually has 20 miles of trails. And as far as the sandy beach goes, it's all almost like 2 miles. It's like 1.5 miles of private, beach that is not aggressive waves. I mean, it's right on the Chesapeake Bay. So you get that comforting water without having to worry about like, oh my gosh, my kid's going to run into the ocean and I'm going to have to chase after them.
Right. Another great spot, if you're looking for less sand, if you hate the sand, is on Northampton Boulevard. There is a nature area called Lake Smith. And Lake Smith is this fun area because it has, a free fishing pier. So if you want to do some freshwater fishing, you can do that. It's very accessible as far as like wheelchair stroller accessible, and it has a park around it. And the trails that are in that nature area actually go back through this little tiny land bridge back behind these twin lakes that are there, Lake Smith, and I believe it's Lake Thompson. I might have to fact check that.
Yeah,
Lake Smith, Lake Lawson.
Lake Lawson. Great recommendation. Right off of Northampton Boulevard, but it's Northampton has the outlet malls and the airport, and then you go off this road and it's a fishing pier, and it's this really mostly quiet, right? Because it's still near the highway. Like just this getaway of free parks, free trails, and from what I remember, Bev, it's pretty much paved out. And for all you Star Wars nerds out there like myself, if you're like Anakin Skywalker and you hate the sand, Lake Smith, Lake Lawson is gonna be a great recommendation for you. And it's pretty much stroller friendly, aside from like if you want to get off the beaten path closer to the water. But you can still get a view from the pier and all the the planked areas where they have the walkways.
Correct.
Great recommendations, Bev. Love it.
Any others? Last spot. This is not as stroller friendly. So maybe if your kids can walk, or if you have a bit older kids,
If
the
your kids are
Eddie,
crazy and have lots of energy, right? If they're
the,
up and going, right, and they got the mobility part, maybe they fall down a little bit, but they'll get back up. This is for you guys.
yeah, the Eddie Brock Nature Center off of Shore Drive is a
Classic.
great spot. Um, it's mostly sand, so it's not quite as stroller friendly unless you're really strong, or you have like a beach sled or something like that. But that is not only just like an exposure to nature. They provide a lot of informative stands that you can walk by as you're hiking through that area, and it's very informative about nature. Virginia Beach's native species, and also some of their community efforts to restore like oyster beds, and for bird watching. You can go kayaking there. It's an all-around great spot, and it has some of the most interesting restrooms I think I've seen in a nature center park.
And that's what you most definitely need when you're out with the kids and you need that relief. There has to be bathrooms. Forget going to the ocean front and trying to fiddle with a porta potty and 3 kids running around. Like, you can't make that happen. But here at the Brock Environmental Center, Eddie Brock Center, some locals call it, you get that experience. And it's actually, Bev, I appreciate you mentioning that. So the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, for those of you who are wondering, they put a lot of time and effort into restoring the waterways, restoring the oyster population here in the Virginia Beach area. They'll take all of the, yes, this is reuse, reduce, recycle to the extreme, but they'll go to all the restaurants like Chick's Oyster Bar, and they'll actually take the old oyster caps when people are done eating them, and they'll go and bring it to Brock Environmental Center, and then they'll redistribute it out back into the ecosystem, because oysters are bottom feeders. They help preserve the waterways. So it keeps a lot of the habitats alive. And fun fact, it's this is the second beach we've mentioned out of the 10 unique beach experiences throughout Virginia Beach. So if you want that full list, go check out the Facebook group. But there's 10, including First Landing Beach and, of course, Brock Environmental Center. Bev, coming out with all the great tips today. I love it. Thank you so much.
Our kids love to be outside and hiking. And like I said, back during COVID, outside was probably the only public place you could be.
Yeah, the safest and the most public you could be, the better, right? So, Bev, walk us through this next part, because I think a lot of people, especially us with younger families, younger kids, we might have this struggle to, if something gets hard or difficult, because we have so many options around us, sometimes we don't end up sticking it out. We just end up changing the scenario that we're in. So, for example, during COVID, like, we had a lot of opportunities to, be inside or work on projects or whatever. And it was a terrible time, but I'm also looking at times when we go through transition, when we move to new places and we're looking for community, or we're looking for things to get plugged into, and it might not work out right away. And for you guys specifically, you found Virginia Beach, you found Norfolk, and then the Navy wasn't holding you back anymore. You weren't able to really find your career fit because of COVID. What exactly got you to stick around? Because that for me is interesting, especially for when there's so many other options out there. Why wouldn't you just change the scenario? I'm curious.
I would say, for me personally, the area has so much opportunity to it. There is a lot of potential in ways that these, I like to think of them as twin cities, develop together. You have a really good smattering of your official, like, white collar business. You also have wide variety, like almost every variety under the sun of blue collar jobs that don't involve factory work. That's probably about the only blue collar job that I think we don't really have. And also, there is so much opportunity for freelance work here. Like, I've never been in another place that has this much opportunity for freelance, side hustles, side gigs. Everybody's about it. Almost everybody I talk to has some form of side hustle opportunity or entrepreneurship that they're working on, whether that be, hosting podcasts or videos like you do, Joe, or a couple I know actually do DoorDash dates together, where they literally DoorDash in their car together, but they spend time talking with each other and make money while they're doing it. So from what I've seen,
so cool.
Virginia Beach is full of opportunities. It's you honestly have to just filter it down to what do you want to do? Like, what are you interested in? And then start looking from there, because if you put all the classifieds of Virginia Beach and Norfolk together, you would probably have like a phone book of information and opportunities to do. So that's something that really keeps me here strategically for my family's sake, is just the width and the breadth of opportunity.
Well, Beth, thank you for mentioning that and highlighting that as well, because that's one of the things that I love to encourage our guests to share, because it's different coming from somebody who sells real estate in the area and wants people to move here. For my own selfish ambition, but genuinely, it is a great place to start a business, start a family, start a life here, regardless of what season you're in. I'm looking at my AARP magazine over here right now, because a lot of our folks, are retiring to the area, or they're thinking about their second vacation home, and it's like, yeah, come stop by Virginia Beach, hang out with us for a little bit, and see what you like at the place, because there is so much here. And I was doing some research recently for taxes. It's tax season, Bev.
Yay.
I know Gabe does that. Gabe, your husband, does that month in and month out. But for us normal people, we just do it for a couple months, and we hand it off to somebody else to finish it up. But what I was talking about with them was addressing the how many people are W-2 workers and how many people are like, independent contractors, right? And so for the people and percentage of people doing like contract work, it's actually risen in the U.S. to like, I think it's like 30% now of people who are gig workers, hustlers, second jobs. And it's almost like part of our culture now in the U.S. And we can talk American dream another day, because I think that has really shifted and changed as well. But in order to be able to provide in this economic climate and the climate that we live in now, with all the tools and technology accessible to us, we still have to work various streams of income in order to afford us. And don't get me wrong, a lot of these guests on our show have been gig workers. Man, they're some of the hardest working people I know. So I know sometimes the stereotypes when you hear gig workers, it's like, oh, someone, they work at, everyone rags on McDonald's, but you rag on, they rag on whatever lower cost, hourly wage, and then DoorDash and Uber and all those folks. But man, so those are some of the hardest people I've met, working and making our tourist economy so great. And speaking of our tourist economy, Bev, would you mind diving a little bit more into your freelance gig work? Because I know you're super passionate about that, and some of the projects that you've done are phenomenal. Would you mind sharing specifically maybe a recent project you work on that you're proud of in the work that you're doing now, or outside that you've done for other activities or jobs?
Yeah, I think one of the most enjoyable gigs that I've done was actually working for an artist series at the Chrysler Museum. They have oftentimes a lot of guest musicians come in, and I used to work for an event company that had the contract to do the tech for that series. And the Chrysler Museum of Art has this cutest little theater in their building that I think I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Everything's almost miniature compared to like the full size opera house, convention center stuff. Everything was tiny and cute. And it was an absolute joy to witness the different types of artists that they brought in to perform, and the staff that I worked with there were very gracious, and it was also really fun to see how many people showed up to enjoy this artist series that was going on. I think that's probably one of my favorite gigs that I've done.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, there's so much history and art at the Chrysler Art Museum. Not just because it's an art museum, but the intentionality behind the city having preserved such a facility to really echo the history that we had with our artists here, but also to preserve, the legacy of creators. And I think, a lot of our gig workers can relate to that, regardless of what you're doing right now. It's the creation aspect that I think gets us, really in tune with our area and our community in a way that, not many grayscale W-2 jobs can do, quite frankly. But with that said, Bev, do you mind kind of walking us through an average day for you? Because I know with juggling kids and work life, and I know your husband does a great job as well, supporting you guys, but it looks different for every couple. Do you mind walking us through an average day in your life and what that generally entails, and what type of experiences you might have set out to do throughout the community while you're exploring the area and working?
So an average day would probably start. Do you want a weekday or a weekend day? Because weekends are probably my biggest days, or weekdays are probably the closest to normal that you can.
We'll do most normal because I know you guys like to do a lot of cool things. So we'll just do most normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So usually our day starts at 6:30, 7:30 if the kids are gracious, and we eat breakfast. Gabe usually either goes to his office or he works from home because he works on a hybrid schedule in his accounting job. And I take into the Mount Trashmore YMCA program for her preschool class, because they actually offer preschool classes for 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, I think some 5-year-olds too.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, great
It's
resource.
great programming there. And then I would take my youngest in with me to my job. We have it worked out at where I work, where I'm allowed to kind of Bambino strap him to my back and he doesn't mind. And usually I either do content creation or I edit content for my job and get it distributed. The role that I have is a broadcast production manager. So I'm usually taking the weekend's broadcasts, editing them, and getting them into different video formats, and then sending them out to our distribution areas, which include international distribution areas. So that's fun logistics and timing.
Yeah, all the time zones that you're involved in. Are you rocking Adobe Premiere?
I currently am using Premiere.
Okay.
I've thought about Final Cut Pro. I just haven't made the switch yet because I've grown up on Adobe Premiere.
I heard that like Final Cut Pro is really hard to work with like groups and team members. So like if you're like collaborating on a project, it doesn't really play nice. But I mean, do you want to share your projects with other people? I edit independently right now, so I'm always like, Final Cut Pros sounds fun.
I guess the nice part about the Premiere is that you can, save your finished video product, but you can also, save the project file. So let's say, we're going back through one of our broadcasts, pulling out some old footage, and there's, like a graphic there. On the Premiere, you can just open up the project file, take the graphic out, and then just re-export the footage. And I don't have much experience with Final Cut Pro yet, but I don't know if you can save the project files of Final Cut Pro and share them and go back through and open them. But our workflow works best with Adobe right now because a lot of our staff are also trained on Adobe. But DaVinci Pro is sneaking up.
Don't be sleeping on DaVinci Pro. That'll be interesting.
And it's free. So you wanna learn how to edit videos? Like, it's a free video editing program.
Only time will tell. And all these youngsters out here on CapCut right now making things happen, looking a little unpolished, but that's the content day and age. It's quantity, so much quantity.
Oh yeah. Then after that, usually takes between like the actual edits and the number of times I have to export the same file over and over again, but in different formats for distribution. That usually takes up most of the morning. And then in the afternoon is usually when I get to tinkering with my equipment setup. I have a nice big server rack of where I put my switching and my converters and audio treatment, outboard gear. I have right now we're running the Blackmagic Design ATEM 2ME production studio switcher, video switcher, because the videos that I make at least are all made live on the weekend. Live cutting, live directing, live camera work. And so it's kind of hard to go back over, and if you made a mistake, undo it. But
yeah. And for those of you listening, having no idea what DaVinci or Blackmagic Design is, it's basically an elite cinematic, video experience that takes the most technical hands to perform and edit. So this is no editing on your phone. It's a serious business.
You don't need to use it for your TikToks. It's all right.
Yeah.
Good.
If you record horizontal and you put it vertical, it'll look all smushed up because of how premium the quality of the content is.
A lot of small film creators I know are using DaVinci to do their final edits for their stuff. Even some, I think one guy I was talking to said that he was on a Netflix show that he was working, and they used DaVinci to at least, edit their camera footage together for something. Anyway.
That's pretty cool. So it's a very versatile tool all around.
It's a lot about who you know, because people in my field are getting into new things all the time because, the world is so mobile and advancing constantly. Like, somebody that you used to work with 3 years ago used to do this thing or that thing, and all of a sudden they moved on. You catch back up with them and they're like, oh, well, I work for this company now and I do this. And they're like, okay, good for you. That's great. That's awesome. And that falls back to what I was saying is like, this area has so much opportunity, like for freelance workers and for, festival workers.
Yeah. So Bev, steering the conversation through your workday into like upcoming projects or events, is there anything on the horizon we can be on the lookout for to know that your craftsmanship has been on a certain project, or something upcoming that you're excited to work on?
Something I'm excited to work on in the future is actually coming up here in August. Oh man, I gotta think. August 7th. August 7th, I think.
Okay.
I don't want to give you wrong information.
No,
but,
sometime in August. Sometime in
August. There we go.
We can
Sometime in August.
We can take that.
Down at Neptune Park, there's going to be a huge church baptism service with lots of live music, a good word from Pastor Randy Singer, and I'm really looking forward to it because it's always a great event every year. People come out of their hotel rooms on their balconies to kind of see what's going on and watch the festivities going around. So,
yeah, hosted down at the oceanfront, hosted by Trinity Church, right?
Yep. It's hosted by Trinity Church, and eventually they'll march down to the actual beach, and people will get baptized in the Atlantic Ocean, which, if you're a churchgoer, like, not a lot of people can say, I got baptized in the ocean. So it's a really great service. It's always a really great word from that group. And they're great to work with too. So from a production standpoint, I really look forward to working with those folks. They know what they're doing, and they're also very gracious about how they're doing it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Bev, thank you for sharing that, and we're so excited to follow along with you on that upcoming project. I'm looking at the time here, and I know you got to get back to mom and work duties, so we're going to head on into our last section here, our red carpet. So we roll out the red carpet and give you a final word to say. But before we do that, you have to get through the rapid fire gauntlet. Should you decide to do so, you get a red carpet ability to kind of showcase what's going on. Sound fair enough?
Oh boy.
All righty, red carpet. And first we have our quick rapid fire question section. First one for you, Bev. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is probably when I'm focused, honed in really closely on something, like focusing really hard. I'm in the groove. I'm in that state of understanding all. And then I get interrupted and I have to stop and take myself out of that place of really good focus, and then have to somehow find my way back after I'm done with the interruption. That's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yikes. I think we can all relate to that. And especially on the creator standpoint, just want to close the door, lock it, and give me a couple hours to myself to finish my project in creation. Yes, absolutely. Which celebrity would you want to have as your best friend for a day?
Oh, that's an easy one. Mr. Astaire himself.
Mr. Astaire? I'm going to have to look this up. I feel so embarrassed. How do you say that? Ester?
Astiare.
Okay, gotcha. And what is it about Mr. Astaire, that stands out to you? Fred Astaire?
Yeah, Fred Astaire. He was
movie star. Gotcha.
Exceptional triple threat movie star. He was an actor, he was a singer, he was a dancer, and man, could he fly! Like, I would love to go to the Virginia Beach Swing Dance Club and just like have one opportunity to swing dance with that guy, because man, could he move. He was great.
Oh my goodness. He's a handsome man. I got him up here on the screen now. I had to Google him. But wow. Okay. Triple threat. These are all of his dance stars here. Judy Garland. Oh, Judy Garland's up here too. Phenomenal. Phenomenal suggestion, Bev. All righty. Next question. Coffee or tea?
Depends on whether or not it's raining.
Okay, so during yesterday's storm, when it was mostly raining.
If it's raining, I usually like to drink tea. But if it's not raining, then I go for the coffee.
Gotcha. All righty. Next one. What is your go-to karaoke song? And because you are married, I'll say if you have one that you would prefer to sing with your partner, you can have that one, or just a single one.
That way. I want it that way.
The song is That Way.
I want it that way.
I want it that way.
Tell me why.
Tell me why.
Exactly. That's
Absolutely.
like there's no other option for karaoke other than
that is a classic one. I think that song was reintroduced to me during. You watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, you gotta look it up. But they do a rendition of it, and it is they're interrogating without giving it away. They're interrogating a prisoner, and so they have to figure out who his voice is. So they have each suspect sing a harmony.
Oh yeah, I've seen clips
of
that.
And then at the end, the guy sings it, and he's like, "That's amazing. That's the guy that killed my brother." So great clip. And
that's great.
But it's been out for a while. All right, last question for you, Bev. For all of our aspiring content creators, videographers, people out there who are still editing on CapCut, but they're wanting to make their big break. Maybe school's not in the cards. Maybe they just like to edit and make thumbnails. What is your message for those people out there, young or old, the content creators like? What message would you like to give them today?
If I could say anything to my fellow content creators, up and coming, is that don't give up if you don't like it or if other people don't like what you make. Make stuff that you like and just keep making things. The master has failed more than the beginner has even tried. So don't be afraid of failure. Keep going. Don't stop. Even if, you get a bad review for something, brush it off, learn what you can, and try again.
Bev Russell, everybody. Thank you, Bev, so much for being on the show today. And we have our live studio audience here hanging out with us. They are going to give you a warm round of applause. Bev, this is your time to share any final messages, any final words or projects you have going on. The floor is all yours.
Oh, final message. Something that's been echoing back in my mind over and over again has been an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood where Fred Rogers draws a picture, and he says that I'm not very good at drawing, but if I had never sat down to draw, then this picture that I made would not have existed. And that scene has been replaying in my mind where, a lot of people I know, and myself included, are often really afraid of failure or afraid of doing something that we're not good at or messing up on something that we do. And I got to take a knee because our man Fred says that, who cares if you're not good at it? Without you, it wouldn't have happened. Without you, what you made wouldn't have existed. And I think that's encouraging me at this stage of life to try new things, keep trying new things. And even if I'm not good at it at first, do an experiment with yourself and say, I'm going to try this thing and then come back 3 months later. And if there's no change, then I can move on to a new thing. 9.999 times out of 10, 3 months of doing something, there's going to be some form of progress in it. So I just want to encourage everybody or anybody out there who's thinking about trying something or is struggling with something because of not being good at it the first time around. Just keep trying, keep at it, and you'll surprise yourself because you are an incredibly capable human being.
Wise words from Mr. Rogers himself, and Bev Russell. Thank you, Bev, so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate your time. And of course, thank you to our dedicated listeners for checking us out on another episode of Discover Virginia Beach Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show, but be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button or leave a comment of what questions you want me to ask next. And I hope to see you all in another episode very soon.